Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of No Shame with Shane. Today we're talking NFL awards. We are days away from the NFL awards ceremony. At the beginning of the season, I posted my prediction for each individual award, each individual recipient, who I think would be getting which award. So for today's episode, I'm going to be reacting to who my original picks were, to who will most likely win each award at this point at the end of the regular season. So jumping right into it. Start off with a bang. Let's start off with MVP. The big one. The big money prize, the big award of the year, face of the league award, face of the league award for the NFL. MVP for the MVP, my original pick was Jalen Hurts. My pick at this point, who I think will win, is Drake May. I think Drake May should definitely win MVP over Matt Stafford because I think Drake May, for one, is more valuable to the Patriots than Matt Stafford is to the Rams. That we're talking about the talent on each team. We're talking about what they mean. We're talking about what they bring to their respective team. I think the Rams without Matt Stafford are much better than the Patriots without Drake May. Like, I think Drake May has a much bigger role on this Patriots team than Matt Stafford does for the Rams. I think the Rams are still capable of putting up points offensively without Matt Stafford. I don't think the Patriots are putting up points offensively, not at this similar rate without Drake May. I just don't. I think Drake May is more valuable to the Patriots than Matt Stafford is to the Rams. Now, I know Matt Stafford will most likely win this award, especially because he has the stats. He has more passing yards. He has more passing touchdowns, same amount of interceptions, 4,700 yards, 46 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Drake May has only 4,300 yards, 31 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. But in Drake May's defense, he does have the higher passer rating, and in my opinion, I think he is more valuable to the Patriots than Matt Stafford is to the Rams, especially with him now being a Super Bowl caliber quarterback in his second year, in just his second year as the starter. So I definitely think Drake May, and in my opinion, I think Drake May deserves MVP over Matt Stafford. But if we're looking at this MVP conversation, I know a big argument against Drake May is, well, he had the easiest schedule. You know, the Rams definitely had the tougher schedule in addition to Stafford having the stats that he does. But if we're going to talk schedule for schedule, we also got to talk roster for roster. Like, the Rams definitely had the harder schedule than the Patriots, but they also have more talent around Matt Stafford, at least speaking offensively, than the Patriots have around Drake May. Like, if we're looking at the Patriots were 4-13 the last 2 years. 4-13. In Drake May's second year as a starter, they're now 13-4 and are in the Super Bowl. 13-4 in the Super Bowl, from being a 4-13 team to being now 13-4 and in the Super Bowl. That's a huge jump to make in just 1 year. That's a huge jump to make. If we're looking at the Rams, the Rams have elite talent on offense around Matt Stafford. If we're looking at this roster for the Rams, like, the Rams are better at almost every position than the Patriots. If we're looking at receivers, Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams obviously clear Stephon Diggs and Kayshon Boutte. 2 elite receivers, Puka being second in receiving yards this year, Devontae Adams leading all receivers in receiving touchdowns. The Rams are better at the running back position, at least right now, than the Patriots are. Kyren Williams right now is definitely better than Ramondre Stevens. Kyren Williams right now is better than Travion Henderson, even though I don't think that'll stay the case, especially possibly as soon as next year, maybe the year after that. But right now, Kyren Williams is better than Travion Henderson. Kyren Williams is top 8 in rushing yards for not only this season, but last season as well. Like, Kyren Williams is definitely one of them ones. He does have the tendency to fold in certain moments, but he's definitely one of those hard downhill runners. The Rams this year were better at the offensive line than the Patriots were. The Rams had a top 5 O-line this year, 5th in pass blocking success, 2nd in run blocking success. Like, Matt Stafford not only had the weapons, had elite to semi-elite weapons on offense this year, but he also had elite protection to play behind. he also had elite protection. Like Matt Stafford is one of the is definitely, he's a pocket passer, but he's also more mobile than just a pocket passer. But he didn't have to do a lot of running this year. Matt Stafford hardly did any running this year because of how much time he had to throw the football, because of how much of a clean pocket he had to get the ball out to Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua to make plays. Drake May did not have that same type of talent on the Patriots this year. The second best player on the Patriots this year was Stephon Diggs, who is returning off of an ACL tear. So if we're talking schedule for schedule, we got to talk roster for roster too, because we can't ignore the elite talent, the gifted talent that Matt Stafford had on his offense and the talent that Drake May had on his offense. We can't ignore that. So like Stafford had a great season, but he also had a more talented roster to work with, at least offensively, than what Drake May had on offense. Now, don't get me wrong, the Patriots are a talented team. The Patriots are a young, talented team. There's definitely talent on that offense. Kayshon Boutte having a season for himself this year, being a huge playmaker for Drake May, especially when it comes to those money shots for the end zone. You know, those contested catches. Travion Henderson, that was my original pick for Offensive Rookie of the Year this year. I mean, just really showing throughout the season, as the season progressed, how explosive he is as a young running back, how he can kind of just cut on a dime and turn up field. Like, there's a lot of talent on this O-line as well, both a good mix of young guys and vets. But there's no question, as of right now, the 2025 season, the Rams had a more talented offense than what the Patriots had this year. So if we're going to talk about the Patriots having an easier schedule, we also have to talk about the Rams having a more talented offense going, weathering this schedule. So that's something that matters too. Now, my original pick for MVP this year was Jalen Hurts. I know I made that clear. I think Drake May deserves to win it at this point. Matt Stafford is most likely going to win it just because he has higher numbers than Drake May. But Jalen Hurts definitely could have won MVP this year if it wasn't for Kevin Patullo. If it wasn't for Kevin Patullo, Jalen Hurts would definitely be in this conversation at this point in the year. 100%. Jalen Hurts could have won MVP this year, at the very least be in the talks for MVP, if it was not for Kevin Patullo. If it wasn't for the coaching of Kevin Patullo running the most basic offense in the NFL, probably one of the most basic offenses that the NFL has ever seen, turning the best offense in the NFL, what was the best offense in the NFL, to the worst offense in the NFL in terms of effectiveness. If it was not for that guy, Jalen Hurts could be in the MVP talks right now. Like, if we're looking at this Kevin Patullo scheme, the Eagles ran more hitch routes than any team in the NFL. For those that don't know what a hitch route is, it's basically the beginning of a go route, but you stop and turn around and wait for the ball. Just let the receivers kind of find space. The receivers ran more hitch routes, probably one of the least effective routes to run repeatedly than any other team in the NFL. Any other team in the NFL. The Eagles ran more hitch routes that's both regular season and playoffs. But looking at the playoffs, the Eagles ran more hitch routes than any other team in the postseason. The Eagles ran more hitch routes in one game than the Rams. The Eagles ran more hitch routes in one game than the Patriots and the Seahawks ran in their entire postseason. Two teams that are in the Super Bowl right now. The Eagles ran more hitch routes in one playoff game than both of those teams ran their entire postseason run. That goes to show you how ineffective this game plan was this year by Kevin Patullo. Despite Kevin Patullo's play calling, Jalen Hurts had 33 total touchdowns, ranking 6th among quarterbacks. Like, if it was not for Kevin Patullo, Jalen Hurts would be in this MVP conversation right now. Jalen Hurts was my original pick for MVP. Like I said, Drake May, I think, deserves it this year at this point. Matt Stafford is most likely going to win it this year because of the numbers that he has over Drake May. But if it wasn't for Kevin Patullo, Jalen Hurts would definitely be in the talks at the very least, if not winning the award and taking the award home back to Philly. Despite the lacking scheme of Kevin Patullo, running the most basic offense in the league this year, Jalen Hurts still had 33 total touchdowns, ranking 6th among quarterbacks in the NFL. We're talking about an offense that led the NFL in hitch routes. The Eagles ran more hitch routes than any other team in the NFL. That's both regular season and playoffs. In the playoffs, though, the Eagles ran more hitch routes in one singular playoff game than both the Patriots and the Seahawks ran in their entire postseason run. The two teams that are in the Super Bowl right now, the Eagles ran more hitch routes in one game than those teams ran the entire postseason, the entire playoffs. That goes to show you how much of a muzzle Kevin Patullo had on Jalen Hurts and this offense. Jalen Hurts definitely could have won MVP this year if it wasn't for Kevin Patullo. Despite Kevin Patullo, Jalen Hurts had 33 total touchdowns on the year. Despite Kevin Patullo, Jalen Hurts was the only quarterback to have a perfect passer rating on the season. Despite Kevin Patullo, Jalen Hurts is one of the only quarterbacks, if not the only quarterback, to have 3 games with a passer rating of over 140. Despite Kevin Patullo, Jalen Hurts had more passing touchdowns of over 20 yards than almost any quarterback in the NFL. Despite Kevin Patullo, Jalen Hurts made the playoffs for a 4th consecutive time with a totally different offensive coordinator. You can't tell me Jalen Hurts couldn't have won MVP this year if it wasn't for Kevin Patullo. If Jalen Hurts had Sean Mannion and Josh Grizzard in office this season, he'd be in the talks at the very least, let alone winning the award. Jalen Hurts will be an MVP right now this season if he had Sean Mannion and Josh Grizzard in office instead of Kevin Patullo. You cannot tell me that's not true. Bro. But honestly, just the ineffective, just those numbers alone, what Jalen Hurts was able to do in spite of Kevin Patullo, the type of offense that Kevin Patullo ran, Jalen Hurts tallying over 30 total touchdowns in a Kevin Patullo offense, having a perfect passer rating in a Kevin Patullo offense, being the only quarterback to have three games where he had a passer rating of over 140. To lead most quarterbacks in the NFL in touchdowns over 20 yards through the air, to do all those things in a Kevin Patullo offense, it honestly just shows you how vital, it honestly just shows you the difference that quality coaching can make. If Jalen Hurts was able to do that in spite of Kevin Patullo, imagine what he can do with a Sean Mannion and Josh Grizzard-led offense with the talent that is currently on the roster. That shows you the difference that quality coaching makes. It just shows you how much quality coaching matters. We've seen how much quality coaching matters with the effect that Ben Johnson had on Caleb Williams and a young Bears offense. We've seen the type of effect that quality coaching can have with the effect that Mike McDonald has had on Sam Darnold and the Seahawks offense. We've seen the type of effect that Sean Payton has had on Bo Nix and a Broncos offense. We've seen the type of effect that Shane Steichen has had, the quality coaching of Shane Steichen has had on who regardless of who his quarterback is, Daniel Jones, Phillip Rivers, regardless of who his quarterback is and that Colts offense, we have seen this season the difference that quality coaching can make for a team. If Jalen Hurts had a better offensive coordinator, if he just didn't have a coordinator as bad as Kevin Patullo, there's no telling what Jalen Hurts could have accomplished this year, considering what he was able to do with Kevin Patullo. There's no telling. There's no telling. Now, looking at Defensive Player of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year, my original pick for Defensive Player of the Year was Aiden Hutchinson at the beginning of this season. My new pick this season, obviously, is Myles Garrett. obviously is Myles Garrett. There is no way Myles Garrett is not winning Defensive Player of the Year. Having the greatest season by a pass rusher ever in the NFL. 23 sacks from the season, historic record, etching his name in history for the league. There is no way Myles Garrett is not winning Defensive Player of the Year this year. Like, now, I feel like I originally predicted Aiden Hutchinson because last year he was on track. He was on pace to at least be a Defensive Player of the Year finalist just 5 weeks into the season. In 5 weeks, Aiden Hutchinson tallied 7.5 sacks and 1 forced fumble. Like, this man, 5 weeks into the NFL, did look like the best defensive player in the league. I thought him coming back healthy this season, having a full season under his belt, kind of having a chance to sort of store up that motivation throughout last year, kind of watching his team make it to the NFC Championship, losing to the Commanders and what was seen as an upset to everyone but us here on the No Shame with Shame podcast. I thought Aiden Hutchinson, I thought it was his to lose this year. And honestly, choosing Myles Garrett every year for Defensive Player of the Year just seems like an easy choice as well. Like that's also part of it. But there's no way Myles Garrett is not winning Defensive Player of the Year this year. There's no way. Like, Myles Garrett this season has shown to be the most complete pass rusher, arguably, of all time. The most complete pass rusher, arguably, of all time. If we're looking at all-time guys, let alone in this current era, there are not a lot of guys that have that rare combination of talent, speed, strength, mental toughness. Like, bro, Myles Garrett is a freakish athlete for one. But he's also too fast for offensive tackles. But he's also too strong for offensive tackles. He's not only too fast and too strong for offensive tackles, but he has some of the most violent hand techniques out of any defensive player all time. He not only has the combination of size, speed, and strength, but it's also his hand placement and his hand movement. Like, the violence that this man has in his hands coming off the edge, in terms of the moves that he is able to pull off and execute. Myles Garrett has shown this year to be one of, if not the most complete pass rusher of all time. The most complete pass rusher of all time. He's definitely one of the best pass rushers of all time after this year, 100%. I mean, if you steal the record, if you break the record, replacing your name as all-time single season sack leader, you got to be given all-time status. You got to be given all-time status. This year, Myles Garrett has shown to be one of the best pass rushers of all time. Definitely the most complete pass rusher of all time. 100%. I think this year, Myles Garrett has solidified himself as a top 5 greatest pass rusher of all time. Top 5 greatest pass rusher of all time. Myles Garrett this year, after this season, would be a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. There's not many guys who would have more Defensive Player of the Year awards than him, but he also ties that small select group that already have 2. He would be tying guys like Ray Lewis, tying guys like Bruce Smith, Reggie White. The only guys that would have more Defensive Player of the Year awards than Myles Garrett at this point would be Lawrence Taylor, J.J. Watt, and Aaron Donald. All 3 bona fide Hall of Famers, 100%. Lawrence Taylor being the GOAT. So we're talking about 3 legendary names being the only guys that have more Defensive Player of the Year awards than Myles Garrett. And there's not many guys that have the same amount of Defensive Player of the Year awards as Myles Garrett. This season, racking up 23 sacks on the season, setting a new record for sacks in a single season. With what we have seen from Myles Garrett, his body of work leading up to this point, Myles Garrett definitely has solidified himself as a top 5 pass rusher of all time. Top 5 pass rusher of all time. I don't even think that's arguable anymore at this point. There are definitely some names. There are definitely some names that come to mind, like Warren Sapp, Von Miller, Aaron Donald, J.J. Watt, Lawrence Taylor, Reggie White, Bruce. I think Myles Garrett definitely has solidified his name as a top 5 guy at this point when we're talking all-time pass rushers in the NFL. He's got to. He's got to. And honestly, if I'm looking at after this season, if I'm looking at my Mount Rushmore of pass rushers, and y'all know pass rushing is like my favorite thing in the game of football. Being a former outside linebacker, pass rushing is my favorite thing, my favorite aspect of the game of football. The strip sack being my favorite play ever in all of sports. This is a big deal for me. This is a big deal for me. If I'm looking at my Mount Rushmore of pass rushers, my list is clear. I got to go with Lawrence Taylor. That's the GOAT. Greatest defensive player of all time. Only defensive player to win an MVP award. Super Bowl champion. 3-time defensive player of the year. I also got to put Reggie White on there. NFL legend, Eagles legend. 2-time defensive player of the year. Also another Super Bowl champion. I got to put Bruce Smith on there. 2-time defensive player of the year. I also got to put Myles Garrett on there. Myles Garrett belongs on this Mount Rushmore now after this season. He would be a 2-time defensive player of the year, but he would also be the all-time leader in single-season sacks. The all-time leader in single-season sacks. The most complete pass rusher of all time. The greatest pass rusher of this generation of football. Doing what TJ Watt came super close to doing. Myles Garrett is on the Mount Rushmore of pass rushers at this point. It's Lawrence Taylor, it's Reggie White, it's Bruce Smith, and it's Myles Garrett. It's Myles Garrett. Now, I know it's hard not to put Aaron Donald on there. It's really hard not to put Aaron Donald on there. But if there's any guy that I would have to bump off the list, it's tough. It's a tough call. Honestly, I could see putting Aaron Donald in there over Bruce Smith. I could see putting Aaron Donald on there over Bruce Smith. I wouldn't be mad at that either. Aaron Donald being a 3-time defensive player of the year, also being a Super Bowl champion. It does feel weird not having Aaron Donald on there. I wouldn't be mad if Aaron Donald is on there above Bruce Smith. Like my Mount Rushmore, it would either have to be Lawrence Taylor, Reggie White, Myles Garrett, and Bruce Smith, or Lawrence Taylor, Reggie White, Myles Garrett, and Aaron Donald. I think there's a case for either. There's obviously a case for either name, but I think at the end of the day, those are the names it comes down to. Those are the names it comes down to when we look at individual achievements in terms of Defensive Player of the Year awards. When we look at championships, guys who've won championships have more of a case to be on there. But then you have to honor Myles Garrett, being that he has done something that no other player in the NFL has been able to do, at least since Michael Strahan. And that is set a new record for sacks in a single season. Myles Garrett is on my Mount Rushmore for pass rushers of all time. He's on my Mount Rushmore. Offensive Player of the Year, my original pick was Ja'Marr Chase. For Offensive Player of the Year, my original pick was Ja'Marr Chase. I think at this point, there's no way Jackson Smith-Njigba does not win this award. I couldn't fathom JSN not taking home Offensive Player of the Year by the end of the night this week on ceremony night. I couldn't fathom. There's no way he doesn't win. JSN leads the league right now in receiving yards while playing on the offense that runs the ball more than any other team in the NFL. Dude, I don't think we understand how crazy that is. JSN leads the league in receiving yards in an offense that runs the ball more than anyone else. that leads the league in carries. This is a run-first offense. In a run-first offense, JSN is on top of everyone else, of every other receiver in the NFL when it comes to yards, total yards. JSN looked like an elite receiver this year in the NFL. He looked like an elite receiver. Like there weren't like, bro, 1700 over 1700 receiving yards, 10 touchdowns through the air. There were no receivers in the NFL that looked better than Jackson Smith and Jigba. There weren't many guys who looked like better route runners. There were hardly any guys that looked like they had better hands. Guys that were hurting defenses at every level on the field, in short yardage, in the red zone, as deep threats. Like, JSN looked like the best receiver in the NFL this year. There was not a receiver in the league that looked like a better receiver than JSN. And honestly, when we look at the other finalists, JSN looked like a better receiver than Christian McCaffrey looked at as a running back. JSN looked like a better receiver than any other name in any other respective position. Like, I don't think there is no way JSN does not take home this award. Now, for Defensive Rookie of the Year, my original pick was Jahad Campbell. And I honestly don't think I was wrong with that pick just by how he started the season. But I think at this point, in my opinion, I think it should go to Nick Amanwari. Like, I know Carson Schlesinger is most likely going to win the award, is seen as the front runner for the award right now. But in my opinion, Nick Amanwari definitely deserves the award. I think Nick Amanwari's impact on what is now a Super Bowl defense is not being talked about enough. I don't think it's being talked about enough. Nick Amanwari, honestly, is the main reason why the Seahawks had the best secondary. What I think we can say now is the best secondary in football this year, which honestly helped the Seattle Seahawks to be one of, if not the best defense in the NFL this year. Like, Nick Amanwari, like, we're talking about just a guy who had just a complete season as a DB. Looked like an elite DB this year. Kind of reminds me of a Spencer Derwin a little bit, just his play style. But we're talking about just a complete DB, a guy who's not afraid to be aggressive and come down and play downhill against the run. A guy who can cover and just flat out fly around to wherever the ball is. Like, wherever the ball goes on the field, you see number 3 flying over to that area. Like, Nick Amanwari is one of those guys, honestly, that always shows up on film. That always shows up in the frame. Like, in the film room, he's one of those guys that always shows up in the frame of the play. Like, wherever the ball goes, whoever has the ball, you see number 3 flying over in that direction. Nick Amanwari definitely, in my opinion, deserves Defensive Rookie of the Year this year, especially because of just how contagious his energy was to the rest of the team. Nick Amanwari was a huge reason why the Seahawks are where they are right now. 100%. Like, Nick Amanwari honestly is the biggest reason why the Seahawks had the best secondary in the NFL this year. I think at this point we can say that. And with the Seahawks having the best secondary in the NFL, it also made it easier for them to have the best overall defense in the NFL because of how, if you have a blanket secondary, it forces the quarterback to hold on to the ball a little longer, which made Leonard Williams and DeMarcus Lawrence's job easier. You know, forcing quarterbacks to hold on to the ball longer, which gave them more time to rush the passer, create pressure on the passer, get more sacks, collapse those pockets. Like, Nick Amanwari's impact on the secondary made the entire defense better. Like, I know he probably won't win over Schlesinger, it seems like, at least according to the odds. But if it was up to me, I would give it to Nick Amanwari. I would definitely give it to Nick Amanwari just with the impact he had on the field for this defense. Like, Nick Amanwari honestly seemed like the heart and soul of the Seattle defense. He seemed like the heart and soul. He honestly seemed like the spark plug. Like, the defense played with more energy when he was on the field. The leadership he showed this year, the heart he showed this year, the physicality he played with this year, the explosiveness he played with this year. He honestly looked like an elite DB in the NFL as a rookie his first year. If it were up to me, defensive rookie of the year would go to Nick Amanwari. 100%. 100%. Offensive rookie of the year. For offensive rookie of the year, my original choice was my first original pick was Travion Henderson. I think there's no way at this point Teteroa McMillan is not walking away with that award. There is no way Teteroa McMillan is not going home with offensive rookie of the year. Travion Henderson, I think, could have won it if he was the day one starter and didn't have to sort of work his way up past Ramondre Stevens. Rightfully so, earning that RB1 spot, rightfully so, rightfully deserving of. Teteroa McMillan was receiver one from day one. Teteroa McMillan, Teteroa McMillan completely changed the dynamic of this Panthers offense. This Panthers offense was a completely different offense this year than they were last year without him. There's no way Teteroa McMillan is not walking away with offensive rookie of the year this year. Teteroa McMillan is the clear offensive rookie of the year for me this year. 100%. There's no way Teteroa McMillan is not walking away with that award. This man single-handedly changed the dynamic of the Panthers offense. I don't think it's a coincidence that Bryce Young, without Teteroa McMillan last year, was a guy who could lose his spot to Andy Dalton in the middle of the season. Whereas now this year, he's a guy that can throw for 450 yards, 3 tutties. He's a bona fide franchise quarterback, bona fide playoff caliber quarterback. Could be an NFC championship caliber quarterback. I don't think it's a coincidence that Bryce Young with Teteroa McMillan is able to do these things. But without Teteroa McMillan, it's different. And that's not a knock to Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young took a significant step forward this year. It's more so just a huge compliment to Teteroa McMillan and just what he showed capable of this year. Breaking the 1,000 yards mark, leading all rookies in receiving, showing he could be a true 50-50 catch, 50-50 threat as a receiver, a true deep threat as a receiver, being a number one, no doubt the number one receiver for the Panthers moving forward. There's no question Teteroa McMillan is taking home offensive rookie of the year this year with just the impact he had on the offense and what he showed capable of as an individual player, as an individual receiver. There's no question. There's no way he's not walking away with the award. Comeback Player of the Year award, that's obvious. That's Christian McCaffrey all day. My original choice was Christian McCaffrey. This was one of the ones I actually got right. My original choice was Christian McCaffrey. By the end of the season, he is the obvious choice for Comeback Player of the Year. This man single-handedly carried the 49ers to a playoff season. A year that really looked like a borderline rebuilding season. The 49ers found their way in the playoffs. And not as a wild card round exit. We're talking about the team's leader in rushing yards and the team's leader in receiving yards. Over 1,000 rushing yards on the year, just under 1,000 receiving yards on the year, just doing everything for this team, just carried this 49ers team to the playoffs in the midst of all of their injuries. Brock Purdy, Brandon Ayuk choosing to sit out, George Kittle missing some games during the regular season, obviously going down in the playoffs again. Injuries to the offensive line, all the injuries to the defense, including Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. Christian McCaffrey is the reason why the 49ers made the playoffs. 100%. 1,000-yard rusher, just under 1,000-yard receiver, leading the team in both categories. The only player on this candidate pool that is an offensive player of the year candidate. There's no question Christian McCaffrey is not walking home with Comeback Player of the Year. There's just no way. Coach of the Year. This is another one I think I got right. My original choice for Coach of the Year was Mike Vrabel. I think Mike Vrabel is walking home with Coach of the Year at the end of the award ceremony, 100%. If we're looking at the difference Vrabel made for this Patriots team in 1 year, should make him the clear front runner for the award. The Patriots were 4-13 for 2 consecutive seasons before Vrabel. In Vrabel's first year, the Patriots are now 13-4 and are in the Super Bowl. In the Super Bowl for the first time since Brady and Belichick. There's no question Vrabel deserves Coach of the Year. Like Vrabel is honestly the biggest difference for this team. Like, the Patriots were 4-13 last year with Drake May on the squad. I know he's gotten better this year, but aside from Drake May's progression, Vrabel is the biggest factor, the biggest difference for this Patriots team from this year as opposed to last year. Vrabel's the biggest difference. Like, Vrabel is one of the only coaches in the history of the NFL to make it to a Super Bowl within his first 2 seasons with a team. I think it's only him and Bill Belichick and maybe one other name I'm forgetting right now. But Vrabel is among the few coaches, definitely less than 3 at most, of all-time guys to make it to the Super Bowl in their first 2 years on a team. First 2 years. Vrabel definitely deserves Coach of the Year. Like, the impact, with as immediate of an impact as he had, the culture that he instilled in New England from day one, Vrabel deserves Coach of the Year 1,000%. 1,000%. Assistant Coach of the Year, y'all know who I think that goes to. That's Vic Fangio all day. That's Vic Fangio all day. Vic Fangio should have Assistant Coach of the Year award locked up. There should be no other name that comes close to Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio and this defense are the main reason why the Eagles made the playoffs this year. I'm going to be honest. It's the main reason why the Eagles made the playoffs this year. Vic Fangio and this defense carried Kevin Patullo and this offense. Carried. The only reason why Kevin Patullo can say he made it to the playoffs as an offensive coordinator is because of Vic Fangio. Not because of anything Patullo did. All season, we witnessed Vic Fangio in this defense bail out this offense. It was our biggest flaw, that the offense had to always rely on the defense to make some miraculous play, whether it was a field goal block in return for a touchdown, whether it was a strip sack for the win, whether it was an interception pick 6 for the win. The theme of the Eagles this year was that the offense had to consistently and repeatedly rely on the defense to bail them out. Vic Fangio and the defense continually, like almost every week, had to bail out Kevin Patullo in this offense. Vic Fangio and the defense are the main reason why the Eagles made the playoffs. Vic Fangio is the only assistant coach in the NFL that can say they had to carry their other respective coordinator to the playoffs. Vic Fangio carried Kevin Patullo to the playoffs. There is no question Vic Fangio deserves Assistant Coach of the Year this year. There's no question. There's no other name in this pool that can say they had to carry their other respective coordinator to the playoffs. That can say they are the main reason why their team made the playoffs. Vic Fangio definitely deserves Assistant Coach of the Year this year, 100%. But that's all we got for today's edition of No Shame with Shane. If you haven't already, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to all of our social media platforms, and I will be back later on with more shameless takes.